Great panel, Caitlin. I'm George Jackson, Director of Events here at GovExec. And it's my great pleasure to be here today with Will Johnson Jr., Senior Vice President, Operations Manager, Logistics, and Mission Support at the Leidos Defense Group. Will, thanks for being here today.
Hey, good morning. Thank you very much, George. I really appreciate the opportunity to sit and talk to you for a little bit today.
So just start by telling the audience, Will, a little bit about yourself, the type of work that you do at Leidos. Give us an intro.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So again, Will Johnson, I'm a retired Air Force guy, not a logistician by trade, but have had the opportunity to work within Leidos, being a business manager across several different areas. And it's led me to this opportunity to lead about 2,200 logisticians spread out across the world, working on primarily the focus is on providing better logistic solutions for the DoD, but we also do force protection work also. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today.
2,200 logisticians. That's a lot of numbers. Let's get into the meat of this discussion, Will. Why are these types of tools that we're focused on today for the future soldier necessary in the modern age?
Yeah, George, at Leidos, we're working to make the world safer, healthier, and more efficient through technology, engineering, and science. And to that end, we believe that we make soldiers safer by creating open architecture force protection tools. Now, providing the ability for those soldiers to have an open architecture of force protection tools allows them to see or create a common operating picture. We believe that we should be an agnostic integrator, meaning that that open architecture allows the soldiers to direct what tools they want to use and bring all of them together to serve their needs better. We often rely on that or call it requirement 1.1, which is to make every system talk to every other system. Doing that for our soldiers, we believe does not tie them into any OEM, but gives them the flexibility to go out and get the best tool set as long as it's secure and is going to enhance their mission.
Let's dive into what we're going to focus on today, which is the AIE. That stands for Automated Installation Entry System. What is it? How does it work?
Yeah, great question. So AIE, we're very much a fan of that system, right? It's a specialized electronic security system integrating access control points. So when you're at a base and you have an arm that goes up to allow folks to go through the have cameras that are watching those folks at the gate. There's buttons or biometrics that you can use to access the gate, or even your card. All of those are what we call sensors. So access control points, sensors, surveillance systems, biometric, all of that is tied into this system in this open architecture that I was talking about. It's cloud enabled, fully customizable, and commercial off-the-shelf tools are what are integrated together to make this work for our soldiers. This system ties together to give access to bases for soldiers, authorized civilians, and trusted travelers. The system is continuously doing vetting, immediate and continuous, over a wide range of up-to-date sources, including various state and local government sources.
So I've often heard, Will, that, the better the data going into the system, the better that it's integrated, the better ultimately it works. And sometimes these systems have internal data. Sometimes it includes data that sort of comes from the outside. So I'm curious how this system integrates with outside data sources, or maybe how it will integrate with outside data sources.
Yeah, very good question there. So let's talk a little bit about how the system can integrate today. So as I stated, there's various systems that we're pulling from to do the vetting. We're also bringing innovation. They're in place today where we have a facial recognition. Um, I would call that a biometric access point. So that data, it's the picture is being taken. Um, it goes into the system, validates who that person is, and then goes back and accesses those databases for that face to make sure that it's recognized in the system. Along those same lines, there's other systems that can tie in. So for the Army today, we have responsibility of a program that does biometrics or watch lists overseas. We would like to connect those two systems together so that when the AIE or the automated installation entry system is deployed overseas, now those gate watchers or gate standers are able to access that biometric database to make sure that any of those folks that are entering the base in a remote location are not on any watch lists, if that makes sense.
It does. You mentioned the Army, Will. The Army is not unique in all of government in that they need to have secure access to their facilities. Do you see this as being applicable, say, across DoD, maybe even across, the federal government?
Yeah, great question and very good point there. Today, we're working with the Army. We are working with the Air Force also. And there's a program there that we're working on with tying counter UAS systems to the AIE system. So imagine that we have a common operating picture that can see a UAV that comes into the perimeter of that base. The system then notifies the base leadership. The base leadership makes a determination that they want to direct an effect on that UAV, defeat the UAV, and then the force protection folks can respond and exploit that UAV. That connection is being made today to take care of Air Force customers. So we believe that there are opportunities for tying systems in that the Navy might use. Because remember, we're agnostic. So if the Navy has already invested money in certain vendors, then we would just integrate that capability as long as it's secure and is not going to provide a threat to the entire system. Right. And so along those same lines, imagine DOE and its large complexes that it has and huge perimeters that need to be covered above air with UAS and ground sensors down below. All of that can be tied in. So yes, I do believe that there are applications of this system across the entire government.
So, Will, let's step back from the technology, the logistics around what we're talking about here and focus a little bit on mission. You've used a phrase a few times, common operating picture. I'm hoping you can define that for our audience a little bit.
Yeah, George, great question, and thank you for that. So, when at Leidos, when we think of a common operating picture, especially tying it into the mission, think of our sailors, soldiers, or airmen or Coast Guardsmen that are sitting in an operations center, and they need to be able to execute the mission. Be that making sure that we can see a UAV coming into the perimeter of the base. There's an active shooter, and they're trying to figure out where on the base that active shooter is so that they can lock down that facility. We believe that that common operating picture is critical to their success there. And that common operating picture, one pane of glass, normally in an operations center, there's two or three of those spread around, and that is being fed data from all of those sensors. So from the AIE system that's out there, a biometric system, a camera that's out on the flight line, or a counter UAS system that is watching for those sensors coming across the perimeter. That common operating picture gives the decision makers an opportunity to see all of that data coming together, and they're able to make a decision about what to do on their mission. But let's take it a step further. Imagine if they now see all the information, they're pulling it in, and they can also make an effector, take some action. So for that counter UAS that is now across the perimeter, they can push a button, the system will go out and analyze that UAV, assess how to defeat, then defeat that UAV, and allow the force protection folks to tell them exactly where the UAV went down so they can go out and recover it and exploit that UAV. To me, that's what a common operating picture for force protection looks like, and that's what we're pulling together at Leidos.
Will, I can see implications for force protection as well. Am I reading that right?
You're exactly spot on. So we have implemented what we're calling a force protection. And that force protection strategy is to go to all of DoD and all of the federal government. Across Leidos, we have several different groups that have responsibility for different areas of the federal government, and we're collaborating with all parts to make sure that we are trying to bring a solution, a Leidos solution to all users across the federal government. I believe that that force protection campaign is going to make our soldiers, sailors, and airmen and civilians in the other areas safer. And obviously, that's the point of what we do in Leidos, to make the world a safer place.
Well, Will, great to talk with you today. Good luck keeping all of those logisticians on track there. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for being here.
George, I really appreciate the time with you and the GovExec team. Thank you very much.
And thank you, the audience, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's program. For GovExec, I'm George Jackson.